In North America, there are 32 furry cons, 3 furry camping events, and 2 unique furry events confirmed for 2023. How much would it cost to do them all? Well, short answer is you can't do them all. For one thing, there's multiple overlaps on select months, but let's hypothetically get close. We have all of our different ways to travel, so let's average the costs and factors based on the following. For conventions, we're going to go with a basic full weekend attendee level with lodging shared among 3 other people in a 2-bed convention hotel block. Transportation is tricky, but to make things easy, we're going to be using public transit and Uber where possible, and Southwest for flying, though in some cases, we can find something cheaper, and as we find out later on, Southwest could only go so far. I'll be making note of that. For the home base, let's use my hometown of Seattle. For cons that overlap, we're going to look at who has the higher attendance and who is cheaper to go to. For food, we're following my rough cost of $210 for food based on $15 for breakfast, $20 for lunch, and $35 for dinner, or $70 a day. Friday through Sunday with some exceptions. Camping cons will not be counted here because they're a whole different animal. Are you ready? Let's begin. If you want to make a last minute trip, you can start the new year with Painted Desert Fur Con in Phoenix, Arizona. Registration is $65 for the whole weekend with a room share, if you can grab one, being about $151 or $199 a night with tax included for the hotel room, being $605 if you want to do that. Given that we're booking out last minute, the cheapest Southwest round trip from Seattle is around $619.76. We can get to the con via a 30-minute light rail ride from the airport with a round trip fee of $4. Last but not least, let's throw in $210 for food. So Anthro Northwest is a little bit of cheating for me since it is in my backyard. So we won't be counting interstate travel here. Registration is $85 for the full weekend, and room share Friday to Sunday is $77. Given its location in downtown, A&W is convenient to get to by transit alone, being not too far from the Westlake Center Link station. To get from anywhere in the Seattle area to the con, King County Transit charges $2.75 for 2 hours, and Sound Transit around $3 depending on where you're coming from. For good measure, let's just fill in a transit card called Orca with $9. Food around the area isn't exactly cheap, so let's again put in $210 for food. A couple days later, it's off to further confusion in San Jose. Unlike most cons, this one runs from Thursday through Monday, so some costs will be a little bit higher. Registration is $80, and room share really depends on which hotel you get, but let's average around $190 if we split across 3 other people in a 2-bedroom room. Southwest offers $178 round-trip fare, and there's plenty of affordable food options nearby. Yeah, you know what? We're gonna count food as a given here for every con. Now, we're going to go across the country for Anthro, New England. Registration is $75 at the door, but room share is pricier at $243. If we were to stick with Southwest, you would have to deal with a connection in Midway getting there and a connection in Denver getting back if we're coming from me in Seattle. However, if we include a $60 round-trip baggage fee, Alaska has a non-stop round trip from Seattle for $28 cheaper at $258. It's always good to do your research. Getting to the hotel from the airport is free via the Silver Line and $2.50 for the way back. The following week, we're going small at Anthro Expo in Oklahoma City. Registration is $60 and room share is about $109. Connecting in Denver out and Vegas back, Southwest will get you in for $232 round trip. There's no transit between the airport and the con, so budget around $40 round trip in Lyft or Uber fares. While February has no North American Furry Conventions, there's Furry Ski Weekend in Colorado. Registration is unique as you can do a la carte base veg for $740, which just lets you get in, or a package that includes, well, skiing, food, lodging, and other stuff for $960. For convenience sake, let's do the package. Southwest offers airfare round trip for $188, and FSW recommends carpooling from the Denver area But there's also shuttles to the ski resort for $64. Keep in mind that FSW is a capacity limited event and is only open for registration for a limited amount of time on request. So odds are by the time you're watching this, you're probably not going to be able to attend the event. But we'll factor it here in just in case. March comes with a whole bunch of furry cons. Let's begin with Vancouver in British Columbia. Keep in mind a passport is required for this convention, so if you haven't gotten one yet, factor in $130 in application fees and $35 in an acceptance fee. Yeah, it's weird, I don't know why. Registration is 75 Canadian dollars or about 55 US dollars. Hotel share is 112 CAD or 82 USD. From Seattle, flying isn't really necessary, so we can take a bus for $32 round trip and then take the SkyTrain for 11 Canadian dollars or 8 US dollars. Up next is our first conflict. You can either do Gateway FurCon in St. Louis or Furthermore in DC. For attendance and travel cost sake, let's go with Furthermore. Furthermore costs $65 for registration with an estimated room share of $120. Southwest is an option to Washington Dulles for around $514 with connections at Chicago and Midway and a less than ideal flight times. However, we can also do Alaska nonstop for $101 less and at better times at $413. Once in town, you can take the Metro Silver and Blue lines to Crystal City for $4 round trip. Once we're done at DC, we have another conflict. Toronto's Vernal Equinox and Texas Furry Fiesta. As of 2022, TFS has over 5,000 attendees, while Vernal Equinox has around 2,000 attendees. It's also a lot cheaper to fly domestically, so we're gonna go with TFF. While technically the con itself runs from Friday through Sunday, most people arrive early, so we'll check in on Thursday and leave Monday. Reg is $70 and room share for 4 nights is $190. This time, Alaska is quoted at around $468 round trip, but it's not cheap. But bags are included. Southwest wanted around $498 at less than ideal connections in Vegas and Oakland. So once you're in town, you can take Dart Light Rail from Lovefield for a $6 round trip. After a couple days home, it's back on the airways to Detroit-ish. Motor City FurCon. Registration is $45 with a room share at $180. Like TFF, there's no direct flight from Seattle and Southwest, with a connection in Chicago, needed Midway, and around $477 round trip. Delta, however, has a hub in Detroit, and with bags included, asks for $427, a $50 less for a non-stop round trip. As for getting to the con, there really isn't a good way to go by bus with transit taking 2.5 hours. So ideally you'd have someone get you a ride or just budget in $60 for a round trip Lyft. Once you get home, you can have yourself and your wallet relax for a bit before the next round of back-to-back furry cons. Yay! You can register for Golden State FurCon for around $65 and a room share of $116. Flying around this time to LAX is pricier than usual, with Southwest asking for $341 and other airlines around $380. As for getting to the con, the Hilton is an airport hotel, so just grab one of the free shuttles to and from the airport. Next weekend, you'll have another conflict, Las Vegas FurCon or Vacationland in Maine. Depending on where you're coming from, the answer may be different. For me, Vegas is a much cheaper option, so we'll go with LVFC. Registration for LVFC is $65, and if you can split among 4 people, then the room share is cheap at $91, Friday to Sunday. Flying from Seattle on Southwest isn't ideal, with an non-stop down and the cheapest return having a connection and bringing up to $355. You can take a Lyft from the airport, but there's also a bus that's $2 one way or $4 total. The website tells you how to get there. After spending time with furries and hopefully not gambling your money away, you can rest for a couple weeks before the next big con, Furry Week in Atlanta. Most furries do this con Thursday through Monday, with some even arriving as early as Wednesday. For the sake of this con, we're doing Thursday through Monday. Registration is $75 and $200 for room share. Flying? Despite Delta holding a near monopoly on Atlanta, they're not usually the best option. Neither is Southwest from Seattle, who's asking for $519 for a connection in Denver with no non-stop options. Yeah, you can pretty much guess who's gonna be the best non-stop option from Seattle, with bags included. Hi Alaska, nice $448 in airfare. Once in town, just take the MARTA to the Peachtree Center for $5 round trip. And again, once you're done with that column, we have another choice to make. After Ohio or Finlandia. The attendance counts are basically even, so pick what's more convenient for you. For me, Finlandia is just a quick hop south. Registration for Finlandia is $60 and hotel share is around $81. While I can't take a train or a bus to Portland, it's actually easier and more convenient just to fly in with hourly air shuttles around $70 one way. Once landed, there is a free shuttle to the Sheraton. Now that we've done our 14th con this year, take a month to catch up and reflect on your life decisions. Come June, it's time to experience what was once the largest furry convention and is still the most memorable convention. You may need to register to get into a hotel room, so expect to drop $65 on that. Once done, room shares will vary depending on which hotel you get, but let's aim for $190. Your long and arduous Southwest journey will take you through a 4-hour stop in Vegas and return home with a 2-hour stop in Denver and a little pit stop in Midway for around $572. You have two options of getting to the con. Either spend $5.25 on round trip on an airport express bus, or take an $80 round trip lift to your hotel. Now that we're in July, we have to make another decision. Go to Canada for Fur A or Salt Lake City for Antler Week in Utah. A woo wins out the attendance marks and is cheaper on my end. Sorry Canadians. A woo has $60 registration and a room share of about $105. Southwest, not much of an option from Seattle. Like seriously, I checked and it requires an out and back connection in Denver or Oakland for about $588. Not really worth it. Alaska and Delta combined offer a 368 round trip option with bags included. See your options, man. The con is easy to get to with a guide posted online. Just take a light rail, train, and shuttle over to the hotel for just $5 round trip. 1 month later, and we're finally in Canada. Conference in Ottawa costs 60 Canadian dollars or 44 US dollars to register, with room share at 91 Canadian dollars or 67 US dollars. Southwest doesn't fly to Canada, so we'll rely on Google Flights. With a connection in Vancouver on the way out and Montreal back, Air Canada will set you back $677, bags included. Getting to the con is a combination of a bus and a light rail for a round trip cost of $740 Canadian US dollars or $5.41 US. Back in the States, let's head over to Denver. We registered at 65 US dollars and paid $190 in room share. Southwest required a connection in San Jose, but we got a non-stop return for $490. However, you can find better times and non-stops by flying United for $421. Getting to the con from the very distant airport is $20 round trip via the A line and a free downtown shuttle. Come September, we have another conflict. Furvana in Washington or Furry Migration in Minneapolis. I'm sorry local furries, but Furry Migration wins in the attendance count. Registration for FM is $50 and room share is around $90. Southwest hasn't opened bookings past August, so from this point onwards, we'll be relying on Google Flights and past data. Delta is offering a non-stop round trip for $428 with bags included. Getting to the convention is a 40-minute ride on the light rail Blue Line, followed by a shuttle to the hotel at $5 round trip. You can also take a $80 Uber round trip. After some time up north, let's head down south to Megaplex. Registration is $70 and $180 for room share. Orlando is a popular vacation destination, so we have Delta quoting us at $418 with bags included. Getting to the con will cost about $60 in Uber. Finally, we're winding down a bit with a few more events coming up. I hope your wallet and sanity is doing okay, because we're in October. Alamo City Furry Invasion costs $75 for registration and a room share of $120. Non-stop flights via Alaska Airlines cost $689, ouch. And There's a free airport shuttle. Biggest Little Fur Con is a little weird this time around. Usually, it takes place in late spring, but this year it's during the week in late October, so things are going on estimates here based on past data. Registration is usually around $70, and the room share is on the pricier side at $210 per person. Gosh, I remember when it used to be so cheap. Flying from Seattle is also cheap at $89 one way, and there's a reason why I said one way. Once BLFC ends, PawCon begins. We'll be taking Amtrak down for about $70. While there are rumors that BLFC will be chartering a bus, let's book our own trip just in case. Once down in San Jose, it's $2.50 on the VTA Light Rail to the hotel. Registration is also $70 with $189 in room share. Now, once you're done enjoying the outdoor party floor, your convention trip isn't just over yet. Guess what? You just spent $79 on a flight heading to LAX and onto the Furry Cruise. Departing from Los Angeles on an 8-day excursion through Mexico, a room with a view will run you $2,503. This includes dining and non-alcoholic drinks. Keep in mind that all of these rooms are priced for 2 people, even if you're solo. This is the case for any cruise whatsoever, so better have a partner in mind. Getting to the harbor from the airport will cost you $200 in round-trip lift fees. Ouch. And the flight home on Alaska Airlines is around $139. Now, just rest up for a couple of weeks while we head on to the big finale, Midwest Fur Fest. MFF costs $70 to attend, and there's a wide variety of places to stay for the con. I'll be making a guide about this later, but odds are you're likely to be in a hotel that's outside the main block, so expect to pay $220 in room share. My flight on Alaska Airlines to the con this year cost me around $370, and there's a free hotel shuttle from O'Hare. If you're heading into Midway, expect to take the L for about $5 round trip. So that about covers it. 25 furry events and conventions that are confirmed to go in 2023 as of December 19th. How much would this run you should you choose to do all of these? To do at least 25 of the furry conventions next year will run you $22,169.18. Of that cost, you spend $4,977.02 on registration alone, $3,376 in room shares, $8,376 in intercity travel, and just $670.16 just to get to the con from the airport or train station, and $4,770 on food alone. Now, this is all an estimate and there's a lot of variables involved. For instance, you could drive or take a Greyhound, you could bring your own food, and you can switch out whatever cons you want to do based on the overlapping. And also, one thing that I failed to mention is you could also stay in the towns when you have back-to-back cons and just fly between the towns for cheaper costs. Now, this doesn't also include any of the various other North American conventions and camps that haven't been announced with their dates yet. So a lot can happen and it could change and it could increase. Also, living in Seattle is a corner of the continent, so prices are a little bit biased when coming in from here, as opposed to, say, somewhere in the Midwest. Nevertheless, furry cons are a luxury and shouldn't be a priority for you. This video is more of a thought experiment to solve a what if than a challenge to be taken. I can't imagine anyone having the budget, vacation time, or ability, let alone sanity, to do all of this. Anyways, if you like this video, please leave it a like and subscribe. This was a lot of fun to research and I'd appreciate some feedback in the comments below, or even just donating to the Foxpresso Coffee Club at coffee.com/Foxpresso. Until next time, yap.